The topic that I'm going to take up on Sunday morning is there Christian eloquence? And here's what I mean. That sounds a little funny, but here's what I mean. I'm a preacher, and I am confronted week in and week out about the relationship between the power of God who accomplishes His purpose and my formulation of language in a sermon and how they relate to each other. Because Paul said in 1 Corinthians, and this is what I'm going to tackle, he said, I didn't come to you with eloquent words of wisdom. I came to you preaching Christ and Him crucified. And I want to know nothing among you but Christ and Him crucified. I'm not into Greek philosophy. I'm not into eloquent words that will impress people. I'm not into glitz. I'm into truth and a narrative of a man who was crucified on a cross. And then he gives the reason. Because I want your faith not to be in man, but in the power of God. Which says to me, Piper, watch out for your language, because you can start using language in a way that doesn't mediate the truth of the gospel and the beauty of Christ, but starts to assume a kind of stature of its own, so that it has a kind of finesse to it that draws attention to it and not to that. And I'll tell you, that is hugely complex for me. Should I use a turn of phrase that I know will be powerful in people's lives, or should I just use some boring sentence that's been used 100 times and it will put people to sleep? And even asking that question seems to imply that I have some control over people's brains. I mean, this is not easy for a preacher. So I want to know, is there a place for giving serious consideration to a way of talking that would seem to be arresting and enlivening and fresh and invigorating and life-giving? Or does that preempt the work of the Holy Spirit? So I don't even know what I'm going to say. I just know I've got to tackle this. I've got to think this through again for myself. I hope that not just pastors, but everybody who has any function of language in commending Christ will think with me about this, because we just don't want our words to get in the way. We don't want to become eloquent in the way that people say, wow, he's eloquent. Oh yeah, what was it he was talking about? The gospel? Jesus? Oh yes, Jesus. No way. I want to find a way that I talk about Him, I am about Him, that when I'm done, Jesus will be great and I will be useful. How to do that with words is no easy thing. So that's what I'm going to try to tackle. I hope it'll prove helpful. I hope people will pray for me, and all of us really, that God will cause us to say things that would be really useful.